Right then, for those of you who follow the channel, you recognize this shot, right? If you remember, I said I was going to do a video on filming the kiln. This is where this shot comes from, right? But something I want to do as well is I want to follow a piece of wood all the way through, from being basically a cut blank, all the way through the kiln, through all the processing, all the way to being a bowl. And we're going to do it with this piece here, which is Macrocarpa Cypress. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. I actually got this piece off William Kenny. I'll put a link below to William's channel, of course. But it should be something that's interesting, because hopefully it will answer questions that come up, right? If we just follow one piece of wood from the start where it's here, all the way through all the steps until it becomes a bowl, right? So, and we're doing it with that piece of cypress. So let's get on with this. Right then, we have this piece of cypress over at the bandsaw. I've drawn a circle on it. Right now, what I'd like to use is these wooden circles. I prefer to cut freehand rather than on one of those sliding things with the pin in it. I used to use one, but I think the cutting freehand, it gives you a little bit more manoeuvrability, and it doesn't put as much stress on the blade. Right, so that's what I use. Right, right, check. That is below the highest point on this blank. It is. Right. Now, start it up and start it up. Right, we've had a saw jam. Right. Now, if this ever happens, right, the simplest way of doing it is to back the saw out, right? But so in order you don't damage your blade, wedge something into the slit. Right, all my stuff for wedging is over here, so excuse me while I walk in front of the camera for a second. And you should be back in focus there, I hope. Right. Right. What I want to do is wedge something into this gap so that it opens up and the blade comes out easy. Take that off now. Right. Then what I'm going to do is cut that whole section out of it. See if we can see why it cut. There's nothing obvious. It could be just that the bottom of this blank isn't perfectly flat, so that can happen to you sometimes. If it happens, just wedge something in the gap, open it up, back it out, and cut that piece off. Right, and there's that piece round. Next time you're going to see this, it's going to be on the lathe. Right then, we finished doing the processing of the blank on the saw. Right, we now have it on the lathe. Right now, for this section of the video, I'm just going to use one camera, because all I'm doing is roughing. Right, for this section. When we get to the actual turning of the bowl, it'll be like, it won't be long for you, but it'll be about 6 weeks for me. Right, we'll be back to our normal 3 cameras, so you can see what the gouge is doing and see angles and stuff, right? But for this one, right, for this section, all I'm going to be doing is I'll be roughing this back down to perfectly round, right? I'll be putting a tenon on it, marking the tenon, then I'll be coring it, right, and then putting it in the kiln. Now, as I said before, at the intro of this, right, I'm actually filming this when I'm filming the video about filming the kiln. If you're interested in like tips and tricks of how to film a kiln, what to do with blanks and stuff, I'll leave a link up there and a link below to that video, right? So first thing I'm going to do is round this off, flatten it off, and put a tenon on it. That feels like I got it. Yeah, no flat spots left. Right, now just face it off. Now you can see that it's kind of punky there. I said it's probably the bark, but I'm not worried about it because that's all going to be going away when I start turning the shape into the bowl. So flatten off here, and I'm going to rough turn the outside of it, and then we're going to core it. I'm going to stop this and have a look. What I'm looking for is that there's a section here in the middle that's big enough to take the tenon and a foot when it's dry. Right, I don't need to flatten this all the way to out there, because then I'll be losing size on the blank, and there's no need to bring it out there because that's all going to go missing. So I'd say another cut should give me what I'm looking for. Yeah, now you see there's plenty of flat there now for what I want. Up here doesn't need to be flattened off. Now, got my calipers, and remember, because this is rough turning, I need the tenon oversized, because it's going to warp when it's drying, and I need to have enough room to re-round the tenon. And I want a pretty decent tenon on it too. Right, now just cut into that tenon. Grab my modified skew to put in the dovetail. Now when I say modified skew, what I've done is I've reground this skew to an angle where if I put it in like that, absolutely flat like that, and touch the piece with this, that angle is exactly the same as the dovetail on the chuck. That's what I mean by modified. Right, that's that done. And now we're back to basics here now, which is knock the corners off and get a rough shape into it. So I'll do that. Right, drop back down. Right then, I've roughly turned it around. I've put the mortise in for when I take this core out. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is core it. I have everything set up for coring. Right, I'll drop my speed to 500. I'm just going to start to core this. Just to advance this knife a little bit. And if you ever are doing this, never go over halfway on the handle. They'll hold pretty solid at halfway, but anything above could be dodgy. This is a wood cut bowl saver, by the way. And there we go, she's off. And we have a pretty nice car that I can core again and possibly get a nested set out of this. Right then, now we break this down, get it out of the way because I need to tidy up this. Now, I said this in the kiln, in the loading the kiln video. What I'm looking for is the wall to be basically 10% of the width, right? So the width of this is 15 inches, so I'm looking for 1.5 inches. That is about 1.5 inches, right? So basically that is the width I need to come into the kiln, right? I'm just going to clean that knob off the bottom. Right, and that is now ready for the kiln. Right, so we take that one off. Right, width's about the same all the way, and throw on there the rest of them. Right. Then we'll get to this next piece. As I said, I might be able to get another car out of it, I don't know yet. And if I can, get a nested set of 3. Depends on how it behaves. Yeah, nice and round. Now what I need to do is put a tenon in there, or put a mortar, or yeah, tenon. Actually, there's a tenon in there. Slightly low. There seems to be something rotten just in the middle of this. Right, it should be fine for drying out, but I'm going to take this off and I'm going to reinforce whatever that is. Just there, it seems to be soft wood. Right, so I'm just going to throw some CA into it. Oh, it is soft because it's drinking it. Right. Grab some sawdust. Throw it in on top of it. Some RCA. A little bit more sawdust. Thrown over the top of it. Right, and we should be good to go. Now, as I said, I want a mortise in that, or a tenon in that. So, mark it out for the small jaws. Oversized as usual because this is going into the kiln and it's going to be dried. Right. And my small jaws are the tooth type. They don't have an angle in them. So I just need to cut it straight. Flat tenon into it. Square up the shoulder. And then just flip it around. And then I will carve this piece as well. And there she goes. Break this all down again, out of the way. Right, I said this at the end of the kiln video as well. Right, and seeing as how this is actually when I'm finishing filming that day, this job isn't over until this lathe is serviced. Because you've been cutting wet wood constantly, your lathe is going to be in bits and it's going to rust like crazy if you don't service it. Right, there's that one ready for the kiln. Flip it over and hollow this bit. Still remembering the 10% rule. A bit of a sharper turn on it. And because out of the three of them this is shallow and it's got a sharp edge here, trim the edge down. Doesn't take much, all you want to do is break that sharpness I mentioned doing this in the kiln video as well. It's breaking those corners, right? And that's basically it. That is that piece rough turned, processed, right, and ready to go. And now all we got to do is wait for, that's what was rotting, see it there, right. All we got to do is wait for this to dry and we can get on with the next stage of this, which is finish turning, right. But so that'll only be a few seconds for you, probably about 6 weeks for me. Right, this was the video I mentioned that I was going to do. It was going to take ages. This is it. Right, so see you in about 6 weeks. Right then, it's been about 4.5 weeks, and I checked the stuff in the kiln last night, and it seems to be dry. Right, there is the piece of wood that we're following. Right, that's the big one. I think the middle core is there and the top core is up here. Right, so what I'll do is I'll empty the kiln, give you a look at the piece of wood that we're following, and then tell you the do's and don'ts of taking stuff out of a kiln. Right then, and here we have the piece of wood that we're following, this piece of cypress, right? I've just taken it out of the kiln, it's still warm. Right, now when you're testing for dryness, there's a couple of ways of doing it. You can use weight, you can use one of these moisture meters, right, and they all have their pros and cons, right. I don't like using the weight because I'd have to keep taking it out to check it, right, but right, it's been in there for 4.5 weeks, right? But if you listen, you can hear just how dry that is. It's bone dry, right? Now we check it with the moisture meter. Now I've checked, and the setting for cypress is 1 on this moisture meter. The best place to check it is right in there. Right, now as you can see by that, I'm getting no reading. Right, sorry, it's upside down on the camera. Flip it around for you. Right, I'm getting no reading there at all, which means the moisture content in this is basically 0. I still can't turn this. This is a piece of oak that basically it's in the workshop all the time, right? Right, its moisture level is basically 13. Right, now 13 means that the ambient moisture level in this workshop at the moment, right, it changes throughout the year, right, is 13. Right, so before I can turn this, I have to wait until this also gets to 13. Too dry can be as bad as too wet, because if you remember, what makes wood move is moisture level, right? But everybody always thinks of drying out, right? Moisture going into wood makes it move. Whether the moisture is going in or coming out, it still makes it move, right? Like if you think about it, the way they used to split blocks of stone was to drive bone dry wooden wedges into it and then soak them. And as the wood expanded, it would split the block, right? The same can happen to this. If I turn this now, straight away, without letting it acclimatize, this is going to split on me. Same as if I turned it to finish wet. If it doesn't split, it'll move, right? It'll become oval, which I don't want, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave these in the workshop at least overnight, probably longer, and wait till it hits 13 or whatever the ambient moisture level in the shop is, the day I'm doing them, and then I'll turn them. So I'll be back when I'm doing that. Right then, these are after evening out enough where I can turn them. This is what we got out of that original blank we started off, right? It's basically like a nested set, right? Small little one, medium one, and the large one. While the large one was drying, it developed a crack. So, well, actually, well, it wasn't while it was drying. While it was acclimatizing, it developed a crack. That's what I mean about being too dry can be as bad as being too wet, right? Like when this came out of the kiln, it was reading 0, right? And you heard it when I tapped it. It was bone dry, right? But acclimatizing to what the natural moisture level is in the workshop, it cracked, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll turn this one on video. I'll turn these two off video. And then at the end, I'll put up a couple of stills of the whole lot of it, what we actually ended up with out of that blank. Now, I'm probably going to have to treat that crack as I'm going. It doesn't seem to go all the way through, apart from just there. Right, but we'll see what happens. Right, and right, we'll get on with this. Right then, some of the more astute among you might notice this isn't the big one. Here's actually the big one. I recorded the video, and then when I was taking the cameras down, spotted that me, being a genius, forgot to hit the record button on the main camera up there. So I'd footage from the other two cameras, but no sound. So what we're going to do is, this is the medium one, and we're going to do this one on video, right? So first thing I'm going to do, a few things came up in with the big one. If they come up again, I'll mention them, right? But we'll see what happens, right? So first thing I'm going to do is flatten it off, round it off. As I said, I got this piece of wood from William Kenny. Thanks a lot, mate. Lovely bit of wood. I have a question about it. Something that cropped up when I was doing the big bowl is this wood prone to cracking? Because I don't know if it's going to happen with this. It mightn't be big enough, but as I was turning the other one, every now and then you hear this loud ping coming off it, and a crack would appear in it. I'm just wondering, is this wood prone to cracking? So I've never actually turned this type of wood before. So William, if you're watching, can you tell me if this is prone to cracking, please, mate? This one isn't too far around. The main one, the big bowl, was massively out around. Right, I think we can just go on straight pull cuts on this one. Drop this tool rest of it so I can drop my hand a little. I want actual pull cuts here and not side bevels. The shape into it. Okay, shape is in. Now, something I noticed as well is this wood seems to tear out a little bit. You can see it down there. The side bevel cut seems sorted out. Right, I'm going to cut this little wavy foot into it. I've gone nuts on these lately, these little type of wavy feet and stuff. Right. And we start speed it up a little bit. And start getting a finish cut on this. Let's have a look. See. Yeah, the side bevel cut is pulling that tear out straight out. It's a little bit there. I need to get rid of. High for back there. That's better. A little step in it there I want to get rid of. I got a lovely smooth curve on the big one, so I'm trying to get the same thing here. Check there now. Just want to make that foot a little smaller. Bring it in a little bit more. Yeah, that's better. Check the cut. Yeah, cut's good. Right, just bring this finished cut out to the end. Nearly there, just that little bit of tear out there to get. There's the side bevel. You get rid of it. Yeah, it's gone. The thing with these medium bolts, they don't take all that long to do. There was a mad clatter outside. Excuse me while I go and find out what that was. I have no idea what that was. Right then, now we get the hollow on this. As I was saying there, these medium bolts don't really take all that long to do. I think it's only like a, is it 10 inches, is it? It's a little over 10 inches. They don't take all that long to do. Right, I'll put that camera up where you can see what I'm doing. There, did you hear that crack? That's what I was getting a lot of with the big bowl, that pop sound. And there it is. See it there? That crack. Right. That pop sound I was getting a lot. There's a lot of stresses in this wood. So, well, if this is typical for this wood, you can drop it down below, please, mate. There's another one. Did you hear it? Right, this is why I don't like to see people. There's the crack, and it's splitting there. And there's the other one that just went. Right, this is why I don't like to see people wearing headphones or something when they're turning. Because sound is your friend when you're turning. It will tell you an awful lot about what the wood is doing. There's another one, hear it? I said a lot of stresses in this wood. Where is it this time? There is one. There's the other one. Right. Now, hopefully. Right. Now I'm just gonna finish off the bait. I'll be interested to see if it pops like that with the small one as well. Right, now I'm going to treat those, take this off, leave it on the chuck, treat those cracks, and then I'm going to hit the inside with the negative rake scraper, so that it cleans up these tool marks, but the main thing is that it cleans up the CA. Speaking of CA, I had to get a new load of it in. The normal guy got it off over here in Ireland was out of thin CA. Right, I always used to get it from the UK, but I've discovered a place in Germany, for anybody who's in the EU, that does some really good stuff. Right, it comes with the little pipettes and everything. So this is the newest brand that I'm going to be using, and if anybody can pronounce that, more power to you. But this new crowd are getting the CA off. Cost me the same as I used to get the stuff in from the UK at. So it was handy enough. That crack is going just all the way up there. You know, it could just be a case of this wood doesn't like to be kiln dried. Like, there's a few woods like that. Cherry's one of them. Cherry does not like being dried in the kiln. But there are a lot of woods that are prone to cracking, and I don't know if this is one or not. So, as I said, William, drop it down below, please, mate. Right, I'm just having a look to make sure there's no other cracks. There is. There's one there. One just along there. So the big one has a load of cracks in too. When I'm showing you that at the end, I'll show you the three of them that we got this piece of wood to yield. And we'll see if they all have these cracks in it. I didn't think this one would crack, but it did. Alright then, I will put a board on that rake, give that a scrape. Right now, the blue marks are mostly gone. This little sand will get that off. Sanding will get that one off. Right then, I will sand and finish this and I'll be back to you in a sec. Alright then, just buffing the wax off. Turned out basically like a smaller version of the other one. Hardly any cracks to the outside, but lots of cracks on the inside. The colour on it is gorgeous. It's this goldy colour. And it finishes quite well. And as I said, it's a wood I haven't used before, so I'm not sure if it's prone to cracking or not. Doubtless William will clear that one up. But so it turned out quite pretty. You can see the cracks there, and they're all filled, so they won't move anymore. But there was quite a lot of movement in it. You could probably see when it was spinning there. I'll slow it down. You can see there's quite a lot of movement in it. So it did move a lot when it was being turned. So there was a lot of stresses inside this wood. But I do like that dark gold colour there. Right then, I'll take this off, do the small one, and then do all the bases, and I'll give you a look at the whole lot of them together at the end. So I'll do that and I'll be back in a second. Alright then, and there's what we ended up with out of that blank. A 14.5, a 10.5 and a 6.5. I've been thinking about why it could be popping. Maybe it's because Cypress is a softwood, I don't know. Hopefully William will answer down below if it normally does pop like this. Right, they're all made it right. They're a nested set. Right, people have different ideas on what a nested set is. In my opinion, a nested set is the same wood and the same overall aesthetic, right? So I have a single curved bowl with a small little lip foot, single curved bowl, small little lip foot, single curved bowl, small little lip foot. And they actually nest quite nicely. I'll raise up the camera so you can see that. They nest in there quite nicely. So there you go. There is a nested set following it all the way through, from a blank through the kiln do the whole process down to a nested set. Right. So if you enjoyed that one, I got that out of it. If you wouldn't mind clicking like on the video, subscribe if you like, and I'll see you in the next one.